During this period, the Qing was on the ropes. Manchu forces were utterly useless in stopping the spread of this great rebellion. Ultimately, the only way to deal with this rebellion was to rely on regional Chinese armies raised by provincial governors, armies raised in part for the defense of the Qing, but above all, in defense of a way of life, in defense of tradition, of gentry rule, of Confucian hierarchy, of social order, in short, of all the things that the Taiping Revolution directly threatened to destroy. Meanwhile, all of this was complicated further by the fact that Neiluan, internal disorder, continued to be accompanied by Waihuan, foreign invasion. The foreigners had not gone away. We will never know how the Taiping Rebellion might have fared in the absence of a strong foreign presence in China, because it wouldn't have occurred in this way without a foreign presence in China. The Taiping themselves were at least in part the product of foreign influence. But foreigners also influenced the Qing response to the Taiping in at least three ways. First, the foreigners forced another war on the Qing when the Qing could least defend itself, the so-called Arrow War of 1860, which this time led to an even greater humiliation than the Opium War. And it led to the sacking of the emperor's grand summer palace in Beijing, the Yuanmingyuan, the ruins of which you can visit today. Second, the foreigners had an influence because for the first time there were Western mercenaries in China, hired guns, which the Qing itself could hire and use to its benefit against the Taiping rebels. And third, the foreigners influenced the political scene by shipping into China's interior Christian missionaries, not pro-Taiping ones, but Christians nonetheless, which led to enormous difficulties and confusions at a time when the Qing was trying to eradicate a Chinese Christian rebellion. This third element was another effort, a Western one, to bring about China's salvation by Christianity, China's salvation by young men with, as the phrase went at the time, a Bible and a pure heart. And, we must also note, with almost no knowledge of China whatsoever. The Westerners were, of course, curious about this allegedly Chinese Christian rebellion and sent emissaries to the heavenly capital. One leading missionary emissary wrote this about his encounters with the Taiping in Nanjing, in Tianjin, the heavenly capital. He wrote this: "As to the religious opinions of the Tianwang, the heavenly king, which he propagates with great zeal, I believe them in the main abominable in the sight of God. In fact, I believe he is crazy, especially in religious matters. Nor do I believe him soundly rational about anything." There was no faith by Western Christians in this new group of Chinese Christians of the Taiping, but there was great faith in the Western capacity to convert other Chinese to real Christianity. As the Taipings held on doggedly to the southern, now heavenly capital, Western missionaries began to fan out elsewhere in China. And they could do so legally because in the Qing's desperation to make a peace with the Westerners so as to concentrate on the Taiping, it had agreed to permit Christian missionaries not just in the treaty ports that were open for trade, but now also in China's vast interior. And the Qing placed itself in the very complicated situation of having to support those missionaries, whatever they did, because they had extraterritorial privilege, while suppressing this vast, allegedly Christian rebellion in the heart of China. This was not easy to understand, not the least on the part of Chinese gentry, who were being urged to restore Confucian orthodoxy by killing Chinese Christians, the Taiping, while at the same time tolerating foreign Christians who seemed equally threatening to their way of life.